Before we get into this video, we are providing a trigger warning. While this is a great movie, it does deal with some very heavy and serious things, like depression, bullying, and suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling with these, tell someone and please get the help you need. If you're like us and you've pushed through those dark moments and are currently getting help, great job. We're so glad you're here. With that said, we will be talking about the whole movie and showing and talking about some heavy things. Also, a heads up, we are going to be talking about and showing the dub version for all of you sub snobs.
Even though certain things can make life difficult sometimes, that doesn't mean that they're worth dying over.
This movie is rough, but ultimately has many positive themes. When we first saw this movie, we went in knowing nothing. Joe watched it first, and the only thing he told me about the movie is that I will be crying for a good chunk of it, and he was not wrong. The story does a great job at showing the seriousness of bullying, but it also shows something that isn't often shown, especially in this way. People can change. It starts with the main character, Shoya, planning on killing himself. The film then follows a group of people in elementary school and then jumps to them in high school, which leads to the actions of harsh emotions like suicide. We see that Shoya actually wasn't the best person. To be honest, he actually really sucked. There's a decent length montage of him bullying poor Shoko to the point where she has to change schools. Social anxiety is also a heavy topic utilized in this story. We see this take place when Shoya walks with his head down. He wants to feel unseen and in the background.
On the first day of junior high, Kazuki made sure everyone knew.
He's a bully. He's so bad, a girl had to switch schools.
I knew I royally screwed up. And so, I pushed everyone away.
When he does look up, he desocializes or detaches himself by crossing off the person's face in his mind. This allows eye contact without truly doing so. This is something very difficult to break because it is linked with self-worth. For someone who has experienced that at one point in time, this was very relatable and really helps you relate with the character. It will be discussed later, but I would prefer to lightly discuss now is the sign language. I was mind blown for the truthfulness of the universal gestures, but the involvement of the scenes. This was extremely touching and made me want to return to my studies. It also reached a part of my heart that helped me connect with Shoko. I wouldn't even mention her trying to speak in this section. Shoko's overall portion of her story was deeply heartfelt and really grabs you to understand the plot overall.
But I'm the idiot who didn't think to bring two of them. Besides, I'll feel bad for Shoko if you come back with a cold.
What we love the most about these kinds of anime movies is literally the little things. Those small details that give so much meaning and depth to the storytelling. The Japanese cherry blossoms are used in a lot of scenes and including the movie cover. These specific blossoms represent a few things like birth and death, along with signifying the short yet colorful life of a human's existence. We find this to be very connected to the characters' stories. Both Shoko and Shoya experienced a period of life-threatening choices, making the nearness to ending their life. We certainly see the brief life of Shoko's granny as well, but both of these characters surpassed their actions and had been born like a new blossom. We also have the significance of the koi fish. We see them frequently between the feedings and the brief screen interactions. We won't go in crazy depth because the different colors can represent more in-depth meanings, but the overall meaning is perseverance in the face of adversity. When they surpassed their actions, they persevered in creating better friendships with not just themselves, but with their family members and even classmates. This has a big part in their growth, which leads us to the roller coaster scene. Whenever I watch this movie, I thought the scene was a little oddly placed and felt off the path of the story, but it actually makes sense. The sudden changes in life can affect someone's development. Most cases, it is something over time that causes reactions, but in some situations, it can be a very short period of time. These kids had a lot going on in their early days of school, like bullying or being bullied. They are not the same kids that they were when they got older, well, except Naoka, but she too started to minimally change at the end of the movie. She has the slowest progression, But for Shoko and Shoya, it was something that happened quickly that made them both spiral in their own ways. Earlier we mentioned sign language. Visually, I cannot express enough of how amazingly done this was, especially fully applying the common forms or universal signs inside the movie. I can only imagine the length of time it took to animate those actions. It was also interesting to see that the longer discussions involving signs had their hands cut off from the screen or their hands were covered in some kind of way. But to add to the expressions is when Shoko decides to speak. This action on her part never stops me from crying. She tries so hard to feel and act like her peers. It is such a vulnerable state because the hearing is impaired or completely gone. They can't properly formulate their tone and words. This can add a lot of stress to themselves, and you physically can't help them either. Both parties just want to understand to the fullest, and on both sides it can be very overwhelming.
Yasho was kind and open-hearted enough to accept a guy like me. For the first time, I know what it feels like to have a true friend.
The characters in this movie range from some of the best to absolute scum. We primarily have world building for the classmates outside of Shoko and Shoya. As mentioned earlier, we started off the movie about young kids around 6th grade. I remember those earlier years in school when everyone is just a prick and outright nasty, as we have not yet grasped the true scope of what humanity is. We have all been in this spot at some sort of capacity, and not all are bad kids. We see that expressed, especially with Miki and Miyoko. Miki does try to be helpful and kind.
Not yet, Shoko. You're coming in too early. Watch me, okay? Don't start singing till I start.
But she does not stop the actions that she sees. Same with Miyoko. She is kind and willing to learn at a young age the skill of sign language to best communicate with Shoko. Over time, the bullying surrounds her as well and stops coming to class. These two girls' growths are minimal. As we see, they remain somewhat kind even as they are older in high school. We see Miki being in denial of the past and her letting it slide, while Miyoko has accepted it and tries for the most part to be better than she can be. Naoka, in a way, is the villain of this story. She is continuously nasty. She is unrelenting and quite an abuser. She does not hold back her vicious tongue, and she does not pull any punches.
Did you say? What are you gonna do? You gonna say sorry again?
Naoka is an example of what not to be, and how cruelty leaves you no friends or people who want to really be near you. Though she shares classes with most, they don't associate longer than needed.
And Naoka, you need to learn how to mind your own business.
It is even hinted that she has a crush on Shoya, but that still does not account for her actions being improper.
Why is Shoya lying in a hospital bed instead of you? Don't you dare try to play the victim!
At the end, we do this form of reality taking note. She signs moron and is then somewhat willing to be corrected.
Moron.
I did say somewhat. Tomohiro is the first to try and break Shoya of his fears. He also helps guide him to what friendship is.
Give me your hand, okay? Now you and I is friends. It can be as simple as that, see?
Minetta's cousin is pretty cool if you do ask us. Tomohiro is definitely a background character that helps bring Shoya to trust and show that people can be caring no matter who they are as a person. He is truly a genuine friend.
You're okay. I'm glad. Because if you didn't wake up, I didn't know what I would do. I can't lose you.
It's gonna be okay. Hey, look. I'm sorry.
Granny, though she is not in the movie much, they give you just enough for you to connect with her. We realize that she sees the little things in the house and brings light to those details, like telling Yuzuru that she is too hard on herself for watching over Shoko. She is a quickly rounded out character, so when her death plays a part in the family connection and falling apart soon after, we see how she is the rock of the household.
You are such a good kid.
Mom chews me out on a daily basis, and I haven't gone to school in like weeks.
Yes, sweetie, but you've got a heart of gold.
Though the moms were not present in much of the movie, they are still impactful characters. We see that both moms are very different, but they have one thing in common. They do love their children. We see Shoya's mom aware of the actions he is taking and hopes it is just a phase until she realizes the date on his calendar has drawn drastically close. So she makes him visibly aware and takes actions to stop him.
Why would you want to kill yourself?
I just, been going through a lot of crazy stuff lately.
I knew something was going on with you! Your room is clean for a change. You canceled your phone service and everything after April's been torn off from your calendar! Promise me you won't go through with it or I'm torching this!
I won't do it again. I swear I won't. Please don't burn it.
What are you not gonna do? Be specific!
I promise I'm not going to kill myself.
Do you mean it?
I swear to you.
Even in his flashback, we see her teach him a lesson by going to Shoko's home and apologize for the things he did in class. We see her physically trying. We see a different point of view from Shoko's mother. We get the impression she is not home much and she always looks so tired. She is probably the only income in the household. Understandably, she is not happy with Shoya's presence near her daughters.
I remember you. You're Shoko's mom.
I don't want you hanging around that boy. Tell your sister that too.
But in time, we do see she lightens up and is very apologetic towards Shoya's bravery in saving Shoko during her darkest moments.
Please forgive me. What on earth are you doing? Get up. I'm sure Shoya must have done something.
Mrs.
Otherwise, this wouldn't have...
Shoya was trying to save my stupid sister.
It was satisfying to see the two mothers have a friendship by the very end of the movie.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to assist us in baking our mother's birthday cake.
I don't want to get hit again.
She won't hit you. She'll probably kill you this time.
For real?
This girl is one of the highlights in this movie. From the way she lies in the very beginning,
She's not here.
She's right there.
She's not.
Listen, I think maybe you and I...
Shoko's my girlfriend, okay?
to the end of the movie, she takes school seriously and returns. Every moment she's on the screen is great. She is visibly very protective of Shoko, and it makes perfect sense considering everything that happened to her.
Seriously? Just who do you think you are? I see through your act. You doing this to feel better about yourself? Must be extra amusing to you because she's deaf, right? Big deal. You think that suddenly makes you a hero or something? I still can't stand you.
Yuzuru is very aware of not really her feelings, but of Shoko's. She continuously places her first. She is very much aware of how Shoko is treated publicly because of her impairment. We know this for how she initially treats Shoya whenever he tries to interact with her. Over time, we do see that she slowly trusts and builds a somewhat friendship with Shoya. Especially later on in the movie, they become very close friends. But even her granny informs her that she does not do anything for herself. We come to understand her love of photography, but soon learn that she was taking photos to convince Shoko to live.
I thought if she saw what death looked like, she'd stop saying she wanted to kill herself. I didn't know what else to do.
Again, she is not putting herself first. We see her not put herself first when she acts nearly homeless as well. She is sleeping on the playground and willingly sleeps at Shoya's. She takes her sister seriously and basically runs away. Where the heck her mom is, who knows? But this shows her slowly building trust in Shoya as a friend. Yuzuru is also very smart, like how she turned her camera on before Shoko went on the Ferris wheel. We see her tech savvy come of use to understand what Shoko experiences around the wrong company. I even suspect that her sending Shoya to get her camera was a way of having him check on Shoko. She probably knew something was up and took precautions. Yuzuru just truly places a lot on her shoulders.
If I had done better, she wouldn't have. I'm so sorry.
But she tries her best to also change. She wants to be a better person, like going back to school, like we mentioned before.
Oh, not so impressive.
Since you're alive again, will you please help teach me how to study?
Of course, no problem.
We see her really try and adapt by having more friendships. It's not a very forward action with communication, but we see her willingly meet up with everyone at the ponds, meet up at the roller coaster park, even light chatter in small situations. Yuzuru tries really hard and it doesn't go unnoticed.
You can change. Start now. It's not too late.
Shoko is just an amazing character, but also very sad. Being or becoming deaf is a struggle in itself, but then to get bullied to the extent that she did is rough. They destroyed numerous hearing aids and other products. They also wrote rude words on their board and made fun of her continuously. She never stopped going to school and kept trying to make friends. She always tried to take the blame because she genuinely thought she was the issue. Over time, we do see how it had an effect on her in some ways. She is used to the wrongful comments on her desk, so when she noticed the same occurred to Shoya's desk, she tries to be courteous and remove the words. Even though he was super rude and the primary bully, again, she thought she was the reason for the mean words. The biggest sign of abuse that we have been briefly mentioning is that she's always apologizing and taking the blame for everything, when in reality, there is very little she should be apologizing for. She apologizes in school, on the playground, at the amusement park, and everywhere in between. We as a viewer also see that this isn't something done a couple times, but throughout the entire movie. If she isn't apologizing, she is just ignored. She does get this the most in the classroom setting. Despite all that she was putting up with, she did everything she could to make sure other people were happy. She puts everyone first, almost to a fault. In general, such a caring person is very loving and completely innocent. When we have to sit in the doctor's office with her and then leave with only one hearing aid, we understand that her body is letting go. We see she is trying to let go of herself as well. She wants to try to be normal because now she has a lower chance of ever hearing. We see her try to change her appearance and even speak. When she does try to communicate vocally to Shoya, she ends up completely misunderstood. This kind of continues her lack of self-worth that she is now starting to struggle with. The passing of her granny and Naoka's actions has Shoko questioning living.
It's me. Everything is always my fault.
She lost the one person who loved her considerably and was like a mother figure at home. She is treated disgustingly bad by Naoka and degraded as being the cause of Shoya's adversity in school. She places a lot of heavy feelings on her shoulders. Then when Shoya accidentally misunderstands her, she will question if someone truly loves or even cares for her. All of this additional load pushes her to the point that she does not want to live on. When she is rescued and realizes the love she truly has around her, she tries to live. Live for herself, live for Yuzuru, and live for Shoya. We see her change, and because she knows she is worthy of love, she tries to do the same even if she doesn't have to. She visits all of the classmates she was starting to connect with, and the one she is most stubbornly visiting is Naoka. She pesters her to the point of a discussion and correction of a possible acquaintance in the future. Maybe not a friendship.
I was hoping that maybe you could teach me how to live.
Shoya was a character I hated at the beginning, and I feel like the majority of people felt that way. I know kids can be assholes, and let's be honest, most of us were at least for a moment. But he was on another level. He was relentless and did not stop even when forced to physically apologize to Shoko's mother. It was interesting that he went from being the bully to getting bullied around middle school. And as much as I want to say he deserved all of it, bullying shouldn't happen in general. From everything that's happened to him, he's gained pretty bad social anxiety and very low self-worth. The film does great at making you hate him to transition to, at a bare minimum, liking him. The biggest reason for that is we see something important: regret. He hates how he acted, and since he was alienated, he sees no way that he can change. He really does the work to show that he has changed. But more than that, he also tried his best to stop people from acting the way he did while also protecting Shoko.
Thought we'd have a game of catch, just like when we were kids.
I'm so sorry, Shoko.
No freaking way.
We see him maintain a schedule of visiting Shoko, like bringing her bread to help feed the koi, then shortly after reuniting her with a few kinder classmates. He even tried doing a full group with everyone socializing together, and we quickly see him separating himself soon after. He is trying to protect Shoko, especially after watching the video of the Ferris wheel incident. We see that his original intentions of fixing his regrets to having feelings for Shoko. We understand his true depth of feelings as as the movie does go on. He takes Shoko on an adventure to the art museum in hopes of helping her after her granny's death. But then the unimaginable moment came. He was more than willing to give his life for Shoko with no hesitation. In that moment, we hear him think and beg for the strength to save her, and when he does, he accepts that it might just have doomed him. In that moment, there's no panic, just acceptance.
Please, God, if you give me one more ounce of strength, I won't run away from my problems anymore. Starting tomorrow, I'll look everyone in the eye. Starting tomorrow, I'll be better. Shoko. I'm sorry. Sorry for everything, Shoko. Are you still mad at me? And now I don't know if... By the way, Shoko, I think that I might...
Luckily, that's not where his story ended, and we see him continue to grow and really want to be better even more. He knows he's been alive, but now he doesn't just want to be alive, he wants to live. Shoko has a big part in that growth, but all of his friends help him do so as well. That definitely includes Tomohiro and his awkward bathroom hug. It still wasn't easy for him, and school was extra rough. With a few panic attacks and looking to the ground again, he is reminded of the support of his friends who stood by him and will stand by him.
Hey guys, I have a big favor to ask all of you. Do you want to go together to the festival? How's that sound?
This movie hit home on a personal level for me in a lot of ways. That is why I couldn't help but make a video on this beloved movie and also show a level of awareness. It hits on heavy topics, but is done very well. It truly opens a variety of conversations with others. Did you enjoy the movie like we did? What scene made you cry? What other anime movies would you recommend? Let's keep the conversation going down below. Until our next video, stay nerdy and keep binging.